Electricity production will also hiking their own cost and therefore affecting the living condition of the people. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. We're still with our guest, Dr. Sam Amadi. Welcome once again. We're still on the issue of tariffs. We understand now that the increase differs from state to state. Some states get 700, some states now 800. What states are these?
Well, for example, in Abuja, it's 700. Abuja, even in 2012, had the lower tariff.
In the FCT?
Yeah, no, Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, covering Abuja, Nasarawa, Niger. Places like Jos had higher tariff. For example, Kaduna has about 900, so the average is about 700. Lagos also not high. Ibadan, Benin, Port Harcourt. Because what happened, like I said, is that the various cost of service of different distribution companies differ. Some of them based on the customer number, some of them based on the terrain, the cost of the investment they need to improve services. Places like Yola, distance, transmission networks are also much more expensive. So what we've done is to say, and this is nice because it helps the discos themselves improve their efficiency. So the new owners who are coming in can improve the efficiency. And when there's more efficiency, the people within that district benefit in lower tariff. So, for example, it helps federal government, state government. Nobody has thought about the role of state government here. State governments of those states can decide to look at the pricing and provide some kind of you can say investment to bring down the cost of service, or even some special kind of subsidies that help the people cope with or have more access to electricity. Because essentially, the responsibility of government is to ensure more access to social services. So as long as it does not disturb the market, various states within the discourse can help to drive down the cost of electricity in those states, either through partnership with the distribution companies in terms of reducing cost of production, or even direct payments to citizens to allow for access to electricity. Take, for example, we have what we call the R1 customers, who are lifeline customers. In this general tariff, they have no increase of any sort, they have no fixed charges, they pay a flat 4 naira, and these are essentially people who think they're very poor. Now, this is part of subsidy, social plan to ensure universal access to electricity. We also have what we call the Power Consumer Assistance Fund, which is a fund being designed that allows for government to put the subsidy, other federal locations, and some states to say, you know what, we want to mitigate rate impacts in our state. So we can make those investments to bring down, access.
So we're going to see more increases, really, every year, because I think...
What we expect, really, if you look at the 5-year tariff, there's a nominal increase every year, up until saturation point, which will be towards the end of that 5-year plan. But what happens is that if the generation increases much more, and efficiencies, we get the distribution company come. Don't forget that this cost is based also on a overbloated personnel cost. We have over 40,000, more than 40,000 PSN workers producing 4,000 megawatts. So the idea is that when the new owners come, there will be some right sizing. With this labor severance, it means that they can offload excess personnel that they don't need, which amounts to reducing their costs. And if they do that, then in the next rebasing that NERC will do, the cost of production will go lower. The personnel cost is huge. So the personnel cost will go down. And if it goes down, ipso facto, the overall total cost will go down, and then the unit cost will go down. And then, so we begin to see savings, we begin to see lower tariff at a level where we are reducing costs, either through better production, either through lower personnel costs and all that.
But isn't it rather sad with all the money pumped in?
We didn't have. That's why it was sad that we allowed the system to collapse. By the way, is there any PSN? We are paying PSN workers for not producing power for the last 20 years, and they are being paid severance calculated to, but then we didn't produce power. There was no accountability. There was no market. You produce, you don't produce. Then every year, government gives a budget, not even enough to invest. But now, this market is changed. The government has now started a sensible reform. And that reform is simple on 3 things. 1, we say, private sector, you can generate. Government can generate. We say, look, distribution company want to be privatized so that the people who are putting their money know that they have to work hard. You see, when I'm a producer of distributor of power and I don't serve you well, you can hold me accountable. But today, if PSN doesn't serve anybody, the whole accountability we can do is like NERC. We can threaten them. But so we are changing the market in a way that there's incentive for performance. But
after the threat, what happens?
We can that's what we need the private sector. We can penalize them financially. Now they pay for the same government money. But if the private sector, and we say there's a service failure, we ask you to refund the money to consumers. They're going to use their own money to do that. Or we're saying you're going to pay a penalty of $500,000. It's painful. The incentive, the sanction hits them hard because it hits their bottom line. But this is what economists call hard budget line. You are using public funds to pay for sanctions, to pay salaries, and then when you don't have money, like today, they are screaming. The National Assembly will say, okay, fine, give them allocation because they are screaming. But if you're a private sector, you don't have money, the regulator has given you a tariff, you didn't collect it or you collected it and mismanaged it, whose business? You're going to produce the power. You're going to deliver your market obligations. So that's why the whole idea of privatization. Many of us may have theoretical problem with, I've written a book on that, but look at our situation. Our best bet is to keep on improving supply to the people. I totally agree with you. If there's no improvement in supply, there will be consumer protests. It will further work against the reform. Right. So that's why the president is focused on improving supply, but that's not alternative to proper pricing.
Before we wrap this up, there's a situation you need to clarify. Some Nigerians have complained about the prepaid meter. For instance, it's supposed to be pay as you go. Of course, the way you consume, you pay, and of course. But there's this new complaint that perhaps they didn't, their monies did not get exhausted in 3 months or so. And so after 3 months, they had the need to go and purchase another tariff or card or whatever it is now. And they were charged, their charges were not based on what they consumed. They told them, those 3 months doesn't count. You have to pay something. Someone now even said fixed charge. And I'm wondering, is it no longer pay as you go?
Well, I think the problem is that we need maybe more knowledge on this. You see, fixed charge means every month you have to pay it. So assuming you...
In spite of what you consume.
Good. Because it's fixed. Now, assuming you bought your units and something happened, it didn't consume so much, it lasted you for 3 months.
Yes.
That's fine. Now, when you want to go to recharge, they would first... So if you give them 2,000 or 2,000, they first take if it was the den of 500, they would take the 2 months it didn't consume, 100, and give you 100 units. So people complain to us. We say, no, it's because you didn't understand the issue. Fixed charge is inescapable. The fact that I was in America for 2 months, once you are connected to the network, the only way to get out of fixed charge is to be disconnected from the network. Because that's why it's called fixed charge. The one that you can escape is the energy charge because it's based on what you consume. If you put off your lights, you economize on usage, you conserve power, you pay less. But fixed charge is minimum deposit that you are paying 500 naira every month to remain on this network.
Well, very well, thank you, Chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Dr. Sam Amadi. Thank you for coming on Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.